Good evening. Welcome into another episode of Three Men on the Record. This is what we had episode number 16 now, I think. We're just plugging along, and yes, Johnny is back. Um, so he's going to be talking about today. We're going to be doing our usual picking our three albums of the essentials. We're going to be talking about records that should be on vinyl that are not. We might even mention Sergeant Pepper if you look at his background. We still have the battle of the revolver versus Sergeant Pepper. That argument will never, ever, 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 ever end, unfortunately. And what else
That
we
is
got going on?
horrendous.
So we changed it up. We don't have a whole lot of news that we're going to be talking about, but we do have the RSD that just came up. So we'll probably discuss that a little bit. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at it. Take a look at it. If you go to our Discord, there is a link to it. Johnny put a link to the RSD titles. And we've been talking about it, and there's a lot of great things that we're excited about. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And as we have when we have a guest on, I'm changing it up a little bit where I'm actually going to ask a few questions to our guests. And the questions are evolving. But the basic ones we have right now is, let's everyone say hello to Johnny. Johnny, how are you doing today?
Doing okay. Glad to be back. It's been a long 2 weeks. So yeah, definitely good to be back.
And
in
what
here.
time is it there right now?
Let's see. It is 02:02, so 2 a.m.
There you go. So one of the questions I'm working on the questions, but one of them is, it's a two-parter. If there was a concert you'd go to, basically that you haven't seen before, person being dead and person being alive, what concerts would those be? And you can be specific you want, or you can be just artist.
So there's probably quite a few. Honestly, I've been to a lot of concerts, but there's some artists that eluded me in my youth that I wish I would have been able to see. And I think the one that I regret the most is I never got to see Soundgarden or Chris Cornell as a solo artist live. So I would say, I would love to see, if I could like drill down to a year, probably Soundgarden around 1995 would be perfection to see them live. So that would be the one as far as like an artist that's no longer with us. As far as someone who's touring still now, I honestly, and you'd probably be amazed that I have not seen this artist, but I've never seen Ringo Starr. So I would like to see Ringo
Me
Starr
too,
in the All-Star
Johnny.
Band. Yeah,
I have to just come in and say I concur. And I had a chance. I don't know why the hell I didn't go.
And honestly, it was the same story with me. We were living in Hawaii at the time, and he was coming through, and for whatever reason, it was just like, life can't do it, and
and he'll be
that
back
would be the
around
guy right
next
there.
year. But again, we don't
So-
how many more trips around the sun are we going to have?
I will see him if he comes back to Austin. I will see him.
Yeah, the problem is he doesn't come over to
Europe.
He only tours the United States now. So, while Paul still comes over here to Europe, Ringo is just like, yeah, I'm just going to stay continental U.S. Maybe I'll go over to Hawaii, and that's about it. So I don't know if I'll ever get to see Ringo, but we'll see.
I think Ringo might be on my list, I think, too.
Now, is that because does he live more in L.A. now?
Yeah, he lives in Beverly Hills.
He might be on a no-fly list or something, too. You don't know. You never know. What were the other questions? Okay, then the other question I asked is, when you buy a new record in the shrink, what do? You remove the shrink, or you a person keeps it in the shrink?
Always remove the shrink, because shrink over time continues to do exactly what its name is, and it will shrink. And I've actually got records where the corners start to get a little bent in because the shrink just keeps constricting. So I take it off. I keep the hype sticker. I usually either cut it out or I'll take it off and put it onto the poly sleeve, because I do poly sleeve everything. But yeah, I remove the shrink every time.
All righty. Yeah, I, for some reason, still keep them in the shrink, but it does make sense not to. So those are the only questions I've come up with so far for our guests, and it will be evolving over time. So let's talk about the RSD. What are you guys' first impressions? Yay or nay?
Yeah. I think it was the best list they've had in a while.
Me too.
I concur, Scott.
It's got
And
some
that's
interesting
just
stuff.
because Dog's Eye View, Happy Nowhere is going to be pressed on wax for the first time in 30 years. Yes.
There's a few things that are getting pressed for the first time.
Yeah. The yeah, it was just in time to keep it off tonight's list, right? So
Yeah, because my
Yeah.
biggest one was Tony Bennett Unplugged. And yesterday, Scott mentioned the list. I went in and I saw Tony Bennett, and I thought I was going to lose my shit. Because, like, finally.
So yeah, you and I both had that reaction when Scott texted me. It was a double fist pump moment because I've been waiting forever. I've always loved that record. It's essential to me, may not be essential to you guys, but I just love the sound of it.
And I'm
And it's a
excited.
shame.
I think we're all excited about the Steely Dan because the only live one we have out there now is the Northeast Corridor, and Becker was no longer with us at that point. So I'm glad to see that coming out. And if you want another Wicked soundtrack, there's another one coming.
Isn't it a single?
I think it's alive. I think it's a live album.
Oh, is it live?
Because they did the TV show with the live sing along. So that's there. Hello, Stacy.
we're getting the Mark Knopfler record where Emmylou Harris is on it. That record, if you're not familiar with it, it's so good.
It's good. He shared it with us in our Friday stream when we show some music, and we played it. It's really, really good.
I'm excited about that. That one is the one that will make me actually get up early and go stand in line. Is that one? That's such a good record.
Yeah, and I'm definitely the Steely Dan. There's a Bruce Springsteen alive, but it's like 5 LPs. I don't know how much that's going to cost. I mean, I don't need everything. I mean, if it's going to be $150, I don't need it. What else was on the? I know there was a bunch of stuff that I was interested in.
The Cult, I think, also has.
Yep, there is one on there. Weapon of Choice, I think.
There's
two.
Billy Squire.
Whoever needs more George Harrison zoetropes, there's two more of them.
Well, that one is just wait 2 months and then it's on sale. Then the Pink Floyd one, it's kind of cool. Is the Pink Floyd live one? A lot of times, all the Pink Floyd live stuff you see is like 1970, which goes against the Gonzo's.
It's all pre-Dark Side.
It's the first 3 that don't apply to Gonzo. Was that Pink Floyd one? But that 1975, well, I understand it because it is different. It is different, those first 3, but it's nice because you have the more modern songs we know as of Pink Floyd. So that's probably gonna be a nice live album to have.
Anything Floyd live, in my opinion, basically from like 72 onward, that's the stuff I love. That's the stuff I love to hear.
And this was actually from the tapes. This is a very famous bootleg. They're actually legitimizing. They're going to turn it into official press. So apparently a lot of people might have this already in its unofficial form, but it's going to be official now.
Yeah, I
now, Stacy, you never know that. There might be some stuff in there.
Yeah, the bootleg is from Mike Millard, was the renowned bootlegger, and I think if I remember right, he had a lot of live recordings that he had saved, and I think they got rid of or someone destroyed them when he passed away, or got rid of a lot of them. But he had some real gems. But yeah, the list. If you guys haven't looked, check out the list. I mean, there's so many. The Professor Long here. I just noticed that one.
Like this one's awesome. That's Pink Floyd, Oakland Coliseum, May 9th, 1977.
Yeah. And the more I look at the list, the more I find. Like, I want that Professor Long here now. It is a list final that usually there was 2 things I might want, and that was it. This list has 10 things I might want to buy. I don't know what you guys have on your list now.
I'm up to about 5. There's the Billy Squire Tell the Truth. That's never had a vinyl press. One of his later records. So it's kind of cool to get that.
So which one do you need? Which one are you guys interested in? Put it in the chat what you're really looking forward to.
Cheryl says she needs one thing, but she's keeping us in suspense and not telling us what the one thing is. So
obviously I like
one thing.
Right. Yeah. I like Dog's Eye View for sure. The Cult for sure. I mean, I think if you're a diehard Beatles fan or Pink Floyd fan like myself, I just think anything that usually comes out, regardless if I've got multiple copies. I mean, a great example is Johnny. We all know he loves Sergeant Pepper. The guy's probably only got maybe 1 or 2 copies of Sergeant Pepper. For those of you not paying attention, just look behind him. It's ridiculous.
And please really focus. There's even a damn 8-track back there.
But there's no
There's an
cassette.
8-track.
God.
We all know. Just saying this. We all know which one's number 1. Just gonna give you a quick peek there, Johnny.
So which one?
Okay.
What is the one that you need? Well, there's Stacy's. I knew I was talking about the Bruno and the Olivia Dean. Yeah,
Stacy, what Third Eye Blind? I like that.
It's like a demos demos album that they've got.
I would be down. Well, Stacy and I have, and Scott as well. Like I think we definitely share the love with Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, now I will say that the
Sledgehammer is a 12-inch single.
12-inch.
Yeah,
you
it's
want
a
that
12-inch
12-inch, yeah.
It's still probably pretty good though.
yeah. Well,
No,
she's-
living over
she's-
here in Europe, so our lists are different. There's a lot that is the same, but there's differences in the list, and it just happens to be that this year, most of the stuff that I want is stateside. So I'm gonna have to get some assistance from my American counterparts.
Come on.
Retta needs that Rolling Stones mini turntable really bad. So
Oh,
yeah.
Is
couple
she
other
gonna
things.
get all the 3-inch records with it too?
So if you get the turntable, it comes with all the 3-inch records and a little
does
bitty,
it?
like
okay.
a little crate.
Oh, that
It
makes
does.
that price a little more acceptable then.
But it looks like they made it on a 3D printer.
Probably. I mean, I have the
Probably
Beatles
did.
one back there behind one of these Sergeant Pepper copies. I've never even opened it, so I don't know how. It's a Crosley, so I don't know how well the quality is, but it's a collectible thing.
It's you say that? You say it's a Crosley and you're not sure about the quality? You probably could.
You went-
Well,
Well, we
I don't know
want
where
to
on
shame
the
anyone
spectrum
who
of,
has that.
we're on the spectrum of Crosley. Like, is it really bad or just kind of bad? I don't know.
think you just call it a collector's item.
Pretty much.
Yeah. that's-
I'm also interested though. Collective Soul's got a very interesting. It looks like they're going like almost like a new wave type sound with this 10-song album they're doing.
What I couldn't figure that one out. Now I love Collective Soul, but is that a new studio album from them?
I think it's a new studio album, and
wow.
it says they're going kind of more in like a new wave direction, which I would be intrigued to hear that.
I know Ed Roland is a huge Cars fan, so when he says new wave, that I know that's his favorite, one of his
Yeah.
favorite bands. I'd support
It would
that.
be interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to get my hands on the Weezer, like the 92 demos, the Scott Weiland live, which I think I might actually have over here. And for whatever dumb reason, just because I grew up with it in my teenage years, that Adam Sandler record's got my eye on it. So
They're all gonna laugh at you, or
yeah, I'm all gonna laugh at you.
dude, it's that's a classic.
It's a classic.
And I know that
Stacy, I will probably send you cash if you're cool with that, and tell you, because you're like the trooper, man. You will sit and wait, and of course I'll be stuck at work.
I go 5 hours after the start. Is usually when I
I'm
go.
probably gonna have to send Stacy some cash.
Yeah, you got to remember though, you get one copy of everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Stacy, that Paramore record, has that been on vinyl before? I saw that. I thought, well, it hasn't. That's been released before, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about, a lot to be excited about, and also join us on our Discord, and we'll go further. And we have a whole category RSD that we can chat and maybe even help each other get records through that. So make sure you follow us on Discord. I don't have the link available right now, but I'll try to get it as we do the show. But that might be a way to help everyone try to find copies for each other, because we all have different tastes. So the next thing up now is what's new for what have you recently? What's your new vinyl? What have you gotten this week, guys? And again, feel free to participate in the chat. What are your new arrivals?
Go ahead,
wants-
Johnny.
we're
Johnny.
starting over here.
You're the guest.
I got a couple down here.
Any sergeant?
One of our no sergeants this time. I need to get a copy or two of that. So one of our customers over on Whatnot actually reached out. Funny story. This has actually happened to Retta twice, where she sells a record that she didn't mean to sell because she wanted to keep it. One, she sold to Scott, and that was Eric Clapton Unplugged, and I managed to find her another copy of that. The other one that she sold, she pulled a stack of records out of the personal collection. Then when we ran it and we sold it, she's like, I didn't mean to sell that. And it was Moondance. And she wanted the first pressing that has the tambourine in Into the Mystic.
Yeah.
So, good friend of ours over on Whatnot managed to find this for us and sent it over as a little trade-off, but so that Retta could put it back in the collection. So that was number one. Just grab the whole stack. And then a friend of mine over here in Germany just actually, I think he watches the stuff on channel 910 on YouTube, and he reached out to me. He's like, I found this at a flea market and didn't know if you'd want it or not. And if you guys aren't familiar with what this is the Hortzu press of Please Please Me. And this is a first press mono copy.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep, you got it right there. And
You've got a first press mono. This is not
correct. That's the repress.
Oh, I need one. I need one of those.
And he's like, yeah, I'll just get it to you for what I paid for it. Dude managed to find this at a steal for like 10 euros.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, yes, I will take that and add it to the collection.
Nice.
Let's see. So Stacy is in the chat. Retta got one from Stacy. This is a first press. I looked this up. This is a 2002 Christina Aguilera. Still sealed. Got from Best Coast Music. So
got it from Stace.
And I added a couple because I needed them in the collection. A couple of new metal classics. I love
White Pony.
So White Pony is coming. I'm picking it up tomorrow. But I got these two from my distributor. I was like, I need these in my collection. So added a little early Deftones.
Yeah, I need to add those to my. I think I've sold every copy I've gotten of.
And then from Shark Crossing Vinyl, I got one of these, the 45 RPM.
A VG minus.
Sounds amazing.
It was sealed, and now I need to find a copy for myself.
And this is one that's like, yeah, I had a copy of this. I had multiple copies of this, and they were all crunchy. This one, no crunch, all shine and shimmer. Sounds amazing. And
that's the 2 LP.
The other thing I got from Sean was this big bad boy right here. 6 LPs, all music from Tarantino movies, and it's all on colored wax too. So recommend picking this up. I don't know, Sean, if you're selling that one or keeping it.
Yeah, selling it.
There you go.
Oh, and I also have the 2 LP version of it.
So, and I'll step back.
Now with the Into the Mystic, what is the difference in the first press with the?
So the first press has a tambourine in the song, and Van intended on having it recorded that way. It's his preferred version, but for whatever reason, the repress is after the first run. They pressed it with a version that had no tambourine in that song. So she wanted that. And I got to say, I've heard both versions, and even though it's just a tambourine, it actually does make it sound a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
So I have to look for that now. All right, Jake, you look like you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go, man. These are all John Darren Camp, a.k.a. Channel 910 purchases that I think he ran over with his car multiple times just to torture me. But I'm very, very stoked with what I got here. I got an original European press of the Cult Love. Story behind this, I was very angry during the Austin convention when Scott somehow don't know what the hell happened, because we were kind of by each other the bulk of the trip. However, he did vanish a few times and would come back and rub it in my face on what he found. And I'm going to be honest, I've never been so angry. And he had the cleanest copy. I found 2 other copies of Love, and they were just mashed. And there's nothing like sitting there and having your compadre with you, right, who has the cleanest copy. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and he sees it, and you just look at him, and he's just got the biggest just ear to ear grin.
Now, I did help you look for another copy. Like I did.
You
spend, like,
did.
a
You
half
found
hour
one
on-
for me, but he was like, "Yeah, it's not. It's
But
not the greatest."
I wasn't giving up the one I found.
No, no, you were not. And then I've got a German quadraphonic press of Adam Hartmother.
It's hydrophony.
It is a very, very
It's
clean
hydrophony.
copy. Probably one of the
It's bootleg.
cleanest.
Is that an
versions.
unofficial? Because it's a quadraphony.
Quadraphony? This is a gorgeous and clear.
Johnny
very
3
crisp sounding.
Johnny 3D printed that.
Right. The next two are original UK presses. This is original UK press of Momentary Lapse of Reason. Thank you, Johnny. Original UK first press, Pink Floyd Animals, which has always been my number one Floyd record. Lately, I've really just kind of it's been a battle, man. It's been Animals and Wish You Were Here. I keep battling.
But I definitely would look up that hydrophony one because I think Johnny's pulling something on you.
Well, you can't beat hydrophony. Quadraphony. Hydrophony, quadraphony.
Quadraphony, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
It's all ball bearings
And
these days.
then a mystery box that I wanted to open up because I have not seen what's inside this. So it's one of those
Probably a Sgt. Pepper T-shirt.
We're gonna find out who it's from.
This is from Johnny.
It is.
Okay. There is a note. And this note says,
It's in regular size letters, unlike the one Chris
Oh.
sent you.
gosh, you may be Revolver on the outside, but I know that inside you're really Pepper.
Oh, and P.S. that Pink Floyd is a quadraphony.
It is a quadraphony for the 17th time. Oh, gosh.
DYI.
What do we have here? God, it's packaged so well.
That's what I do.
Like Christmas morning.
When you ship international, you learn how to really wrap stuff up. Nice, huh? Yeah, open it up.
What?
Salt. That's a
Salt.
lost
A little
shaker
pepper.
of salt. Oh, it's pepper.
Little pepper, dude.
Pepper.
Little pepper.
It's a revolver with a little pepper in it.
Look at that. Look at that. Look how awesome that is. We
That's
got
pretty cool.
Revolver,
I wish you
but we
put
got a
Sgt.
little
pepper cup in the
little
box.
pepper in you. What an ass.
Pepper on the inside.
You know, like 3 days from now, Retta's going, John, where's that pepper we bought?
God, look at that. Look at that.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
Scott. I got plenty of pepper for her back here.
That's about as much pepper. Okay, so before we turn it over to Sean or Scott, I will tell y'all, I told Johnny this. I did an honest
No, we didn't.
shootout
Didn't.
between Pepper and Revolver.
How did you do an honest shootout? You completely erased your mind that
I
Revolver's
did.
the greatest. one with them both.
Okay, I went into this. I'm like, you know what? I want to do this again at a new unit of time. It's just me. It was after a show, packing boxes. I've got time. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it for Johnny. I'm gonna do it for Johnny. And I listened to both albums, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, Revolver, bar none, is the best damn album. It flows so well. I don't care what Johnny says. This argument is still going on. It's still continuing.
And it always will, which is what makes it great, honestly.
Yeah, I don't see either
Johnny,
side
thank you
giving
so
in
much
on
for the
this one.
gift, man. That was very, very sweet of you, man. I appreciate it. So thoughtful, thankful.
I would have
Hope
sent
you
you
enjoyed.
Sgt. Pepper cup. I would have sent you Sgt. Pepper.
Well, see, I couldn't find a Sgt. Pepper cup because those were sold out because everybody wants them. There was plenty of revolvers.
Lies.
All right, Scott, you're up next.
All right. So I had to, because I try to have every record we put in the 500. If I don't own it, I immediately goes out. And my good friend Jake saw fit to put this in the 500. I was like, I guess I got to go buy it now. So I got this
We're
from
good friends
Stacy and
from time to
Danny, Best Coast. Thank you guys. I just looked at it. Looks like it's in great shape.
Yeah, you got to play that one now, and then you'll find out after you play that is the number one, baby.
Jake, I told you I have all the Foo Fighters on CD. I'm very familiar with the Foo Fighters. I know what that record sounds like.
You
Pick
love
this. This is a USOG. This is one of the cool finds this week. Glad to get that one. These come from Sean. Another. This one is another one that got put on the list, so I had to
it.
go
Great record.
pick that up. And I never did have that one. Had it on CD, and just to improve the shipping, Sean had another record that I thought, well, good time to go ahead and get this. This is the music on vinyl, Cherry Pie. And the thing about this record is I believe Uncle Tom's Cabin is the best song of the hair band era. I really love that song. So Cherry Pie might be the worst. So you get it both on the same record. It's quite the package. So that was the highlights from the week.
All right. So I guess I'm
Good
next.
grabs there, Scott.
I know, and you and Johnny bought some stuff from a great seller.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Stacy and
That's
And
good.
Stacy is also great.
Stacy's awesome. Yeah, Stacy and Danny's awesome.
So I'm on the quest, and I still haven't found for Scott. I have not found, but I did pick up a mono and a stereo for my collection. One's VG, other one might be VG plus or better, but we'll see. And let's see which ones I have because I know Scott wants one because it's in the 500.
Yeah. I want an Echo Waves standard one. So like keep looking.
And then last week I did the Green Day, and I was talking about you guys should watch the Woodstock YouTube video. Got to watch it. I saw this on Cape Cod show, and I outbid Packers Freak for it.
Oh wow.
So I got that, and I bought it on Sunday, and I got it on Tuesday. Which I don't know how that's even possible from Cape
How the
Cod
hell
to
is
here.
that possible?
I don't know.
What year? What year was that recorded, Sean?
94.
I
I can't believe I fell for that.
concur, Johnny.
All right. So the next thing I picked this up today. Yeah, it's Roy Orbison, but he died in 88. This came out in 89. But you have Bruce Springsteen, Tom Waite, Jackson Brown. There's just so many people on here. Katie Lang, Bonnie Raitt, Jennifer Warnes, and Mike Utley, who's the keyboardist for Jimmy Buffett's on this also, which I was shocked. I haven't listened to it yet, but I mean, look at that. You got Bruce, Elvis Costello. I mean, it's just amazing. And then this I've been wanting forever. The original is mucho expensive, and there's a bunch of bootlegs, but I finally got my copy of Guns N' Roses Live Era, 87 to 93, not 94 to 93.
It's all right. 91's in there. That's good too.
Yeah. And I do have one available in my store also. But I've been waiting for this forever. So I got that, and I'm very happy. And then I got, it's not music. Well, it is music, but it's not Linda on Rolling Stones. So those are my picks. Those are my purchases for this week.
I think all these were great.
Yeah. And we'll see if that Roy Orbison sounds good or not. But it came out after he died, so he never saw it come out.
I mean, I don't know if we could top the Quadrophony. I mean, that's
Yeah. No, I have this one too. I got a few unofficials in my store. I don't usually play around with unofficials, but I do have some, whatever. So this is the point now, guys. We showed what we have that we got this week. I know some people put some comments on what they have. Now we're going to be going with the essentials for the week. Again, this is the 500, what we consider essentials. They're not in any particular order. So don't think it's just things that we think you should listen to. At least give it a try. Or if you like it, own it. Whether it's CD or vinyl, it doesn't matter. just give it a listen. And this is that segment of the show. And our guest always goes first. So he's going to present his first album.
Pull my notes up. Okay, so we will typically, when I come on here, I do one metal, one 90s, and one classic. So I didn't choose a metal album this week.
Are they all 94?
But I did. We'll see. We haven't got there yet.
I hope so.
But this first one is actually going to be from 1990. So it's still a 90s album, but it's going to be, I guess you could consider this like an electronic or a synth album. And what I'm going to show off today for record number 1 is Violator from Depeche Mode.
Oh, hell yeah,
this
Johnny.
was released in 1990, the month of March. This is Depeche Mode's 7th studio album, but it is really the album that truly made them famous on the United States side of the pond. It's been consistently credited as one of the most influential albums in the electronic and synth genres. I personally feel like you can hear a lot of this album, like it kind of shares DNA with other 90s albums and bands like Nine Inch Nails, Typo Negative, Stabbing Westward. I've almost, when I listen to this, I feel like this is the more like emotional, sensual version of Pretty Hate Machine. It really does sound like a counterpart to that album. And they were released around the same time. This was actually produced by Depeche Mode and Flood has done a lot of work with Trent Reznor, so probably kind of why it has a very similar sound. This made it to number 1 in the UK as well as other European countries. It made it to number 7 in the United States. 7.5 million copies sold worldwide, and 3 million of those in the US. You will know this album when you hear the singles Personal Jesus, Enjoy the Silence, Policy of Truth, World in My Eyes. I mean, this album's loaded with singles. But I do have to say the deep cuts on this album as well. I picked 3, Sweetest Perfection, Halo, and Waiting for the Night. That pretty much encompasses, with some of those other singles, the entirety of side 1 on this. Absolutely no skips on this album, and side 1 is super strong. Violator from Depeche Mode, my favorite album from the band, and I want to say from what I was reading online, it's actually the band's favorite album that they've ever put out. So my first addition into the Essential 500 for tonight.
It's such a great record.
It's amazing.
Cool. I don't own that, believe it or not. I don't, and I need to.
And it's one of those that I didn't really listen to a lot of Depeche until coming over here, and I had a coworker that's like huge into them, and he told me you've got to listen to more of this band. And I found, I mean, I like music for the masses. Black Celebration's okay, but when I heard Violator, I was like, this is good stuff. Highly recommend that album, which is why I chose to add it to the list tonight.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's my favorite Depeche Mode record too.
Cool. All right, Scott, I'm going to have you go next, and we're going to skip Jake for a moment.
That's cool. I mean, you could skip me just period if you want.
Well, I'll just come out right out of the gate. We've been having fun. We were on a little early tonight, so we've been having fun for already about an hour and a half, needling each other endlessly. So I'll just poke them right in the eye on this one and say the record I'm adding tonight is going to be Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, I think that's great, Scott. I've been waiting for you to actually bring that up.
Cracked Rear View Mirror. This is actually the Analog Productions Dual 45. And I will say huge sonic improvement. Analog Productions did a great job on this. I'm not a big fan of the 45 RPMs, but when they improve them like this and the Matchbox 20 they did, they don't even sound like the same record sonically. So why this record? And when I did the Gin Blossoms, I said during that period, and I, all the bands that came about during the grunge, from Nirvana, Stone Temple, to Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam. I love all those bands, and I have their music, but I did find the genre, because of the record company's industry's reaction to it, kind of constraining. Like when that was always on the radio, I think my feeling was that wasn't enough for me. the sound in the themes too, much better than the themes of the hairband era. But they were a little downer sometimes. They were inner reflective, talked about challenging mental things sometimes. I was ready for like somebody just give me a rock and roll record, straight ahead, old school rock and roll record. And I think Gin Blossoms did that, but on a larger scale as far as popularity. The Hootie and the Blowfish, 21 million copies sold. I think it had sold nearly 16 million within 3 years. So I think the way I felt about it, it was quite clear that a lot of people, music listeners, felt the same way. Like, give us some just normal stuff, and this was kicked off that whole post grunge alternative. And I think some of the things that come later were a little more alternative than Hootie, because I just look at them and say that they're like a bar band. I mean, it's you'd go out on Saturday night and this is a band you would hear. As much, and the reason I love this record is the singles were so strong. Let Her Cry, Hold My Hand, Only Want to Be With You was a #1 song in Time. So all three of these songs were top 20 Billboard Hot 100 songs. Exhaustive airplay. They got wrapped into a lot of promos, like especially Time. I think ESPN ran that as a theme song for some of their stuff. And it just got to be everywhere. So I could see why some people actually got irritated with the record. It's one of those records they just wouldn't put it down. But my criticism of the record, and this is unusual for a band that had been around for a while, doing the local tours. Some of the album cuts aren't as strong as I'd like them to be. If those were a little bit better, this would probably be one of my all-time favorite records. It is an essential 500 because the singles are so darn good on it, and they never really got close to this again. Like, as far as I like many songs by them they released, but it was more one off, two off. So if you just want straight ahead, I'll just say rock and roll. I don't even think it's post grunge alternative personally, but maybe a little bit of Let Her Cry dips into the post grunge alternative sound. But I'm surely thankful for them and Gin Blossoms coming along and kind of breaking the stranglehold that that grunge had on radio play and video, and everything you saw was all those terrific bands. But I was tired of it. So
I didn't hear what year that was released.
1994.
just verifying.
Second best year we've ever had music, right there, John.
There you go. All right, Jake, you're up next.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and keep this bad boy in the 90s, but I'm gonna put up a much better record, and a far better sophomore effort than that of Fairweather Johnson. And this would be
That's a low bar.
Siamese Dream. And this came out July 27th, 1993. Running time of 62 minutes and 36 seconds long. Produced by Butch Vig. For me personally, this album, again, very sentimental. First time I heard this album, I was in my brother's Ford Tempo on our way to Baytown Mall, because every Friday, we would get our allowance. Our allowance was always spent on cigarettes, which at that time were $1.90 a pack. When $10 went a long way. And I remember I had just enough money to go and get the cassette tape. I had the cassette tape of this before I even had the CD, because we were flat broke and we spent so much time on my brother's car. He had a tape player, right? So I played that thing until the tape basically just shredded. And what's crazy is there are 4 songs on this album that charted. You've got Today, which was U.S. number 29. Cherub Rock was number 2 on U.S. alternative songs. Disarm, number 4, modern rock tracks. Rocket was number 4, also Modern Rock Tracks. But the greatest song on this whole record, in my opinion, is Mayonnaise. It's just everything about it is so good. The whole album is just, you put on a Smashing Pumpkins record. It's funny, Johnny, we were talking about this before the show. Thing about the Pumpkins, right, is that there's no middle ground, right? You're either with them or you can't stand them, and that's usually because of Billy Corgan's voice. Like you either love it or you just
I thought it was his head that made me not like it.
I loved it. This record to me and this band to me was kind of a very similar. It was a similar reaction when I first heard Jane's Addiction. Nothing shocking. I'd never heard anything. I was very young in 1988, but I'd never heard anything like that. And I was familiar, obviously, with Gish because, I did listen to Gish, but Drown was my favorite song on that record. But when Siamese Dream, it just kicked in, there was just a sound to it that, like, it was just unlike anything that I had heard, right? I don't really put Smashing Pumpkins, I don't consider them grunge. I probably would consider them more alternative, but with just a little kick. They just got a little spice to it. And I think everything that he wrote on this was wonderfully written. I think Billy Corgan's a wonderful songwriter. I mean, he is the brains of the band. I mean, everything that you hear musically more than likely originated from Billy Corgan, and the band members just basically come in and just pretty much play everything that he created, right? It was nominated for Best Alternative Music Album at the 1995 Grammys. But this is, y'all, one of the most definitive albums, in my opinion, whether you agree or not, probably one of the most definitive albums of the 1990s. My first pick. I still put this over Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, because I just think that record was kind of like, his... what would I want to say? What's the word I'm looking for that? He just basically kind of went outside the box on that, and I think the record companies just didn't really understand it, right? It was a great album, but nothing like Siamese Dream. I think Siamese Dream was really the one that they nailed. So that is my first Essential 500, Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream, July 27th, 1993, over 6 million copies in the U.S., approximately 10 million plus worldwide. Let's go.
Yeah, I think I might actually be one of those middle of the road people on Smashing Pumpkins. A
lot are, man.
I don't mind his voice, his voice could be better, but he adopted a style, and I think he kind of got pigeonholed into that style, because if you go listen to like Zahn or some of the other stuff he did, it's not quite the same vocal tone that he was using. So
it's tough, right? Because some people will listen to a Zwan record, like when you hear Zwan, the only album they did, right? I mean, when I listen to it, I consider it a Smashing Pumpkin album, but Billy Corgan is Smashing Pumpkins. So that is his sound, and it's almost like anything he does, right?
I like that record, though, Swan. I think that's a really good record.
I agree. I would put that in an essential, as well. We'll have to talk about it because I do have it. It is stashed.
And I learned that Smashing Pumpkins is a hit or miss band when I ran the greatest hits for $1 and it sold for like 11. That's when I learned. That's when I learned that it's like some people love it, some people hate it, but not enough to get it above $11.
Like, hey, I get it. Like kids of the 90s, which I was a teen of the 90s, and I think a lot of us at that time, I was probably 16, 17. That was a record that really did it for us. Same with, any Pearl Jam or Soundgarden record. Those were just the records of the time. It was 94, right? Even though this was late 93, I mean, this could have easily gone in 94. Something about 1994, I will tell you, for, Johnny and I are very similar in age, right? 94 was a movement.
Mhm.
right? It was a movement when it comes to the stuff that came out. I don't have words to explain it, but it was an unbelievable year and an unbelievable time for music.
All right, cool. Thank you, Jake.
You're very welcome.
My first album for tonight is, well, it starts off, I'm going to say how it starts off. You get the organs like you're in a church, and it's actually the song Freedom that is actually the organ at the beginning of the song on this album. And so you're basically getting a little bit of Wham at the very beginning, and then it kicks into faith. You got to have faith, right? You got to. This is poor Andrew Ridgely, because half the people in the world don't even remember who he is.
Other guy.
But basically, he kind of felt, everyone kind of, they're like a teen boppy band somehow, and he really wanted to break away from that. And of course, he sent Andrew off to himself, and came out with this album. And it only sold like 24 million copies worldwide, only. But
might be one of the best. I mean, it's in the running for one of the best pop records ever.
Yeah,
Faith is. It's
now
a solid record.
the thing he was most proud of is that he was the first and probably only white solo artist to hit the #1 on the Billboard Top Black album charts, and he was more proud of that than it was hitting #1 on the regular charts. I mean, it's you just read some of the stuff in here, and it's. I mean, I Want Your Sex is on here. Of course, you mentioned sex. It's controversial. Then more people want to listen to it. Father Figure, One More Try, Hand to Mouth. Wasn't my favorite one on there, but Look at Your Hands, Monkey, Kissing a Fool. I think it came out in 87, but I think it won in 1990 for Album of the Year. It's always kind of off a little bit. But there was 5 songs on here that were #1 hits or in the top 10.
Could not escape him.
And of course, this one's
everywhere.
Still in the shrink, and I think it stopped shrinking, and it's got the hype sticker on it.
Is it OG?
Yeah.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
Much better than Fairweather Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah, US was 6 million, worldwide was 25. I Want Your Sex was #2 in the US, Faith #1, Father Figure #1, One More Try #1, Monkey #1. It was #1 for albums. I mean, it is probably one of the biggest pop albums of all time.
Yeah, and he also, like, when you get that big, the album that had, like, he had the Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I forget which one. He had a big deal with them, and there was a commercial. So that's why I say some of these people, when they explode like that, like every time you turn around, you cannot get away from them. And that's the way George Michael was with that record. I didn't pull it though.
You gotta have faith. You gotta have
faith. We all
faith.
got them.
So that's all I gotta say about this one. As an essential, you gotta have faith. Come on, look at that.
Scott, don't feel bad. Believe it or not, I don't even have one copy of Kick anymore.
Oh, I just George Michael. I didn't pull it.
I just ordered Kick from VC.
I need to.
All right, so we're back to the Sgt. Pepper dude over here.
Do it for Johnny.
So, and I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, all 3 of the albums that I chose tonight were actually Retta picks, but our agreement was whatever she picked, I had to agree with. So, she had a couple strikes during her first round of picks, but she did land on 3 that I was like, yep, I can see those as being top 500. So, while
John
Violator, yes.
We're all into authenticating information we present on the internet here. So can you go get Retta to confirm that she was involved in these picks?
Nightline or Dayline's on, right?
See, I would, but she's on Whatnot right now searching for designer clothes, so I can't interrupt her.
Is she really?
I'll find
But yes, while Violator pick 1 was definitely, it's one of our mutual favorites. This is another one that she will violently argue all day long that she heard this before I did, which is fine because I did hear it back in the day, which is good enough for me. I'll let her claim first rights on it. But this one does come from a particular year in music. I won't say which one right now. This is Rubberneck
Yeah,
from
get in there,
Toadies.
baby.
Toadies,
Get in
yeah.
there.
So not something that is loaded cover to cover with radio hits. There's one big one on here we'll talk about in a second. This is the debut studio album from this band, and it is their biggest album of their career.
Tejas, baby.
Was released in August 1994, produced by two individuals. I'm not really familiar with any of their work, Tom Rothrock and Rob Schnaff. This made it to number 56 on the U.S. Billboard 200, but it spent over 50 weeks on the chart. So it did spend some time on the Billboard 200. It was number 1 on the U.S. Heat Seekers chart, which is kind of like a sub chart of the Billboard. I actually looked up what the Heat Seekers chart was, and it basically would track albums that were on like a quick rise. Once they hit a certain point, then they fell off the Heat Seekers and went over to the main Billboard chart. But this made it to number 1 on the Heat Seekers. So it came out with a bang, and that's due to its number 1 single, which was Possum Kingdom. Excellent album, cover to cover. Like I said, not a lot of like big radio hit singles off of it, but looking at the deep cuts on this, I Come From the Water, Tyler is an amazing song. I Burn, the closer on the album, also amazing. You honestly can't go wrong with this. It opens with an instrumental. And the style of this album is kind of grunge meets hard rock with a little punk rock flair to it. They're a unique band. I cannot compare them to anything else out of the era or really since then. They are the top selling artists from Fort Worth, Texas. It's just a little piece of trivia there. The song titles and the lyrics on this album actually reference a lot of places in that geographic area of Fort Worth, or events that occurred there. The song I talked about, Tyler, is actually about a peeping Tom in Tyler, Texas. That's what the song's about. Possum Kingdom is an actual place in Texas. Possum Kingdom, Jake, you may know the actual location. It's like a national park.
So, believe it or not, no, because I'm not from Dallas. I'm a Houston native, born and bred.
You're from Texas. You're supposed to know the entire state. It's not a big place, Jake. Come on.
It is pretty small.
So
I will tell you, I will say this though: Dallas radio stations in the '90s absolutely crushed any other radio station in Texas.
They probably played a lot of this.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, that's so growing up in the South, because when I heard this, I mean, coming out in '94, I was living in Birmingham, Alabama, which is also, I think actually Retta was living in Texas when this came out. So she probably did hear it first, because this in the South was all over the rock and alternative radio stations. I don't know how far north it really reached that early. This album continued to kind of grow over 2 years. It actually reached the 1 million copies sold status. So it reached platinum in the U.S. in '96. So it was a slow roll to get it to, 1 million sales. Like I said, she's a big fan of the record. She doesn't have quite as many of these as I do Pepper, but she bought that. What I was just showing you is the Bernie Grundman 2020 mix. She bought it on the Splatter. One. She also opted to get the autograph version as well.
Look at Retta.
Oh wow.
The negotiator.
The girl loves her Rubberneck. So well, I adore this album as well. I do think it's the best one from this band. There's a handful of other albums after this that are really good, but I don't think any of them stack up to this one. Highly recommend this one to you guys, and that's why I opted to put it on the list tonight for the Essential 500.
Listen, Johnny, I'm going to tell you, great pick. Floyd and them right now, they're sleeping. Listen, the 90s, good stuff, baby. Loving it.
I tend to agree with you, Jake. Tend to agree with you.
Toadies, like if you listen to a lot of people talk about like what's a band that should have been bigger than they were, Toadies is almost always on that list.
Yeah, they're always, absolutely. Yeah. Scotty.
So who was next?
Scott is next, right? Yeah.
Well,
Squat.
I switched out the record. I'm going to do 2 more jazz since our resident
Are we
curmudgeon
going
Floyd
audible?
wanted jazz. We'll bring some jazz to Floyd.
He bought a jazz record last week. I will say
Yeah,
that.
he got jinxed too when he did it.
That's why I said everything that bad happened to him. Then he blamed it on
Yeah.
the
He
record.
blames it on jazz.
All right, so we're gonna. I'm gonna do a Sean. I'm gonna build the drama. Let's go back
Build it
to
up.
19.
Build it up. Build
Let's
it
go
up.
back to 1981. You know,
All right, I'm there.
in those early 80s, there was a very popular soap opera with maybe the most famous storyline ever
Jack
in soap
Wagner?
opera history. Luke and Laura. There was a young doctor working at, what was the name of the hospital? Oh, General Hospital.
General
Yeah, the name
Hospital.
of the show.
Wasn't Rick Springfield in General Hospital?
Rick Springfield. So yes, we're going to talk working class dog.
Ricky.
And it falls on those list of albums. There's some albums, and I think a lot of these albums, Jake and I agree. Like, Sean too. You know, like you pull out the Hooters, you know, and people go like, "Yeah, it's all right. It's great." You know, the Hooters record is great. I like the Kenny Loggins High Adventure record, like end to end. It's a great record.
It's
I
not
mean,
a bad record.
I
I'll be
mean,
honest
there's
with
nothing earth shattering on these records. They're just really good, you know, and they're enjoyable. If you put them on, you're going to enjoy them. And, you know, so with this record, it's kind of interesting because he's from Australia. Actually won. He was the #1 ranked guitarist in Australia. So he was in a band. I forget the name of it, maybe Zoo or something like that. And he came over to America to try to make it. And he did a series of records that really are not very good. You know, he was looking for his sound. So he signed to RCA. He did Wait for Night, which is on RCA. It didn't really sell. And I guess they really focused on this record, and he writes a song, so it wasn't a matter of trying to get the songs. He finally came up with a list of songs, and you know, and he did one cover, and that's a pretty substantial story too with the cover he did. So he the big song on here that I think a lot of you just saw him do on the Rockin' New Year's Eve, he did Jesse's Girl, and the next morning, that's all I saw on social media. Like, oh my God, Rick Springfield is 77 years old, still sounds amazing. And he runs around the stage. That's true. Me and my wife just saw him a couple years ago it was his 75th birthday, and he was amazing. You know, had about 90% of his tonal quality was still there in the voice. And Jake, you look like you want to say something, my friend.
Scott, you do realize that Rick Springfield is a vampire. He's 972 years old.
I tell you what, he's well preserved, and
he is, man.
I will like his acting on General Hospital was really bad, but I think his agent was brilliant to get him out there, you know, because you know he is a very good looking guy, and I think that helped his notoriety. And this record hit right before that, and it just kind of really probably solidified his career. But on this record itself, not on future records, but Neil Giraudo actually plays the guitar on this record. And, you know, back in the day, since I lived through this period, it was not cool to be a Rick Springfield fan if you were a guy. But you know what? All the guys were closet Rick Springfield fans.
I'm sure they wanted to be Rick Springfield, right?
I mean, in the guitar hooks, and I mean, he was a rock guy dressed up in a pop star facade, you know, and the guitar playing is great on it. But there's so that Jesse's Girl, huge. I mean, that song is still with us today, and you know, everybody knows it. Love Is All Right Tonight, great rockin' single. The cover on it is I've Done Everything for You, which nobody had ever heard that. They thought it was a Rick Springfield original, but actually a couple years before, another guy going out on his own after leaving a band put it on his record, and that was Sammy Hagar. And it did nothing on the Hagar record. And I would say you listen to the two, the Springfield version has a lot more energy in it. But I think Springfield's success with that kind of informed what Hagar did next, because Hagar's next record after this was Standing Hampton, where he went to more of a middle of the road. He was more like a album rock guy with Montrose and his early, and then after Springfield had that huge hit with his song, he become more like that. The tight 3.5, 4 minute songs with big guitar hooks and all that. So, but again, what makes the record so strong is you'll hear the singles, you'll go, oh, like I know the song, but the album cuts are all fun and solid on here. And he never really, like, Living in Oz is my second favorite Springfield record. That's a solid record. The rest of them, he had a couple good singles, but I don't think the depth of those albums were as good when it came to the album tracks. So I even remember me and my best friend, we had a little game going where we would always camp out for tickets, right? And they announced the Springfield concert, and he came to me and he goes, hey, Scott, we're going to camp out for these Springfield tickets. And he liked him too. He goes, I think we're going to have to buy 4, man. We're going to have to take 2 girls to this or it just won't look right. So we did buy 4 tickets, and we did take dates to the Rick Springfield. That way,
Do you remember their names?
Yeah, I do. I remember their names. But it's kind of funny because I think that is very true. Now guys don't hide behind the fact that I sell Rick Springfield records in my show all the time. So I'm glad people are not shying away because it's not cool. He's a cool guy. So anyway, for maybe the old timers engaged with that record.
How many albums does he have that has dogs on the cover? And is there a reason?
The first, he's got several. I've never counted. I don't know what the reason. I mean, I think that's supposed to look like the RCA dog because he's on RCA. So I think that's what it started out.
I thought it was
right
Spuds
there.
McKenzie. Yeah, I thought it was,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Spuds McKenzie.
Love me some Spuds, dude.
maybe.
Listen, hey, I'll tell you something. Dr. Noah Drake definitely had better acting chops than Gonzo Shenanigans. I mean,
Now
he was pretty flat.
Is it safe to say that the best singer from a soap opera is not Jack Wagner, and it's him?
I think Springfield's better. I mean, Jack Wagner has a great voice, but he only had a couple hits, and he didn't have a sustained career, but he had a good voice. But
all right, Jake, what do you got for us?
This might make Floyd, come up a little bit. He might get a little pumped. Will might get a little pumped too, but then again, Will, he's a character. I first heard this record in 1989, and I heard it with one of my brother's friends. His name was Steve Bellmain, and I was in Florida at the time, and it was a concept album. And the only concept album that I really knew of that I felt was a true concept album at that time was Pink Floyd The Wall. To me, was like the concept of concepts. I didn't really consider Pepper then. I thought The Wall was far more of a concept album than Pepper.
Ricky
Remember,
Martin
Pepper's only got, besides the reprise, 2 songs. But this record, the title track, I just, for whatever reason, I fell in love with it. The guitar riffs, the voice. But I got to tell you, the damn front man and the way he sings, and I've never heard a damn flute solo on anything the way that Mr. Anderson would do it. And that album is Jethro Tull, Aqualung, released March 19th, 1971, 43 minutes and 44 seconds long. Number 3 on the charts, and I think Locomotive Breath was number 15. This is the 2011 Steven Wilson stereo remix. Scott and I came across this when we were at the Austin Record Convention, and I was talking to Scott about it, and I really kind of wanted his thoughts on what he thought, because it's a bazillion copies of this. I mean, this is one record you're just never going to have a hard time finding. You'll have a hard time finding an original copy of it that's immaculate, because all of them have been played and loved, and they probably all wanted to play the damn flute as well as that man did. But it's this particular remix is just it's clean. It just got a very, and I think you said, Scott, just it sounded more open, right? And
Yeah.
so I kind of agree with that. I feel like when I listened to it, it just felt like you really were able to get a full experience of the sounds. And Scott nailed it. So you said it's probably going to sound weird when I say it, but the low, what was it exactly? Your words verbatim.
Like the if you were looking at an equalizer, it would be the lower high end, like 3 or 4 knobs in, like they tick that
Right.
up. Not quite the vocal, which is usually dead center and 1 or 2, but a little bit higher than that. And it don't you think it's weird when you live with an album and then they remix it and you actually like it better? I think I usually don't,
So
because I'm so used to the original mix.
I agree with you. So
Yeah.
I like this press better than the original.
I do too.
So if anybody's interested, again, it's 2011 Steven Wilson stereo remix. Did over 3 million sales in the U.S., sold over 7 million worldwide. What I love about Jethro Tull, what I love about this album, you hear Ian Anderson's voice. There's nobody that sounds like him. And, that's kind of what really, for me, when it comes to frontmen, what makes them unique. Right. Same thing I love about David Gilmour. Same thing I love about Roger Waters. You hear Roger Waters come in and you sing something, you can't mistake him. It's him. It's the same thing with Ian Anderson. The way he sings, it's unmistakable. It's him. And this was also concept album that I, as a 11-year-old kid, really didn't understand all that much, because it explores a lot of social issues, and it talks about like the human condition. And of course, you've got somebody here. It kind of looks like Sean, longer hair. Maybe not much of a curly beard, but this was nominated for
less homeless looking right now.
I mean, I don't know. A couple of days ago, it may be a different story, but was nominated for a Grammy, Best Progressive Rock Album, 1972. And a lot of people look at this as probably one of the defining works of the band. I think a lot of people will probably disagree with me. I think Aqualung is their best album, but I will say that there was one album, I'll let Scott mention that, because I had never listened to it. And the one album that beat out Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking, for best heavy metal album, Scott?
Yeah, best rock album or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. That album was
Crest of Knave.
Jethro Tull, which I had never
Oh yeah, I
heard.
remember that.
And Scott told me about it, and I got it and listened to it, and I was like, "Damn it, Scott, that's a pretty underrated record." But Aqualung has always been my favorite. I mean, all the tunes, obviously. Aqualung and Locomotive Breath are probably my favorite too on the record, but everything about it is consistent from start to finish.
Jake, what year was that terrific piece of art?
I really don't want to tell you, but I have to give it to you. Johnny, go ahead and put it up. Aqualung came out in 1994. Once again, one of the greatest years.
I'm going to guess 1971.
It came out in 71. All right. Came out in 71. So, again, Steven Wilson remix, 2011 press. Get this, listen to it, y'all. I'm sure we all have this album. It's one of those essential staples that we all have, or we've had it at one time. But if you don't have this, definitely get it. And let's see. Are there any...
I've seen it around for like 24, 25 sealed, like, and you really like, it's not something you need to chase an OG on, because that mix sounds so good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even Cross-Eyed Mary, the whole record is just super solid. But try the new remix. I think you'll like it, and I think it's just I don't know, it gives you a better listening experience, and it's almost like some of these remixes. What I like about it, and why I'm giving remixes a chance, is because you start hearing things that you hadn't heard before. So it's almost like you're hearing the record again for the first time. And I did that with the Animals redo with Momentary Lapse of Reason, right? It kind of took a little bit of the 80s stuff, but like, man, I love it when stuff like this comes out because it almost gets me reinterested and back into it. So that is my number 2 pick. Jethro Tull, Aqualung.
Thank you, Jake. My next record it's a record that I've had multiple copies of this, and I've had them in various conditions, but I've had at least 3 copies that have had evidence of, at least at the time, some illegal smoking substances were in or around this record. I've had them with burn holes in them from, probably a little. It's Aerosmith's Toys in the Attic. This is their 3rd album. It's a little different than the first 2. Their first 2 albums, on those albums were songs they were singing for years, and this is really the first time they really went into the studio and kind of started from scratch. And the cool thing about this record is it really puts the Aerosmith on the map. It brings them to the next level. And of course, one of the songs on here is "Walk This Way," and I was, as I always do research on this, and that song came about. They were doing a sound check because they were opening up for Guess Who, and they just jammed to this. Joe Perry was fooling around with rips, and he was thinking about the meters. And you guys know how I love the meters, and he tried to make this cool riffy sound. And they had the tune, but they didn't have the lyrics. And so when they went in the studio, they had this song, and they thought they were going to have to scrap it because they didn't have words to the song, nothing. And they just happened to go to the movies in Times Square because they were at the studio that was nearby. And they went and saw a certain movie. You guys know what the movie was? Walk This Way. Think about it. So Young Frankenstein was playing at the theater.
Walk This Way.
and that it was where they got the lyrics from. That basic started the lyrics, and instead of scrapping that song, they now had words to it from seeing Young Frankenstein. So I found that pretty cool little tidbit, and the fact that they were trying to be mimicking the meters. And you guys know I'm always talking about the meters. And then also Walk This Way was also, Aerosmith shortly after this disappeared from the map. And what brought them back? Walk This Way. So it's pretty cool how important that song is to their careers. This was, but it didn't get huge like awards or anything like that, but it definitely a rock bluesy record that it just a great. We have big 10-inch record, Toys in the Attic. Joe Perry actually wanted to call this Rocks, which I think is funny because that was actually their next album. So Toys in the Attic, it's kind of an homage where it's something that you loved when you were a kid and you just kind of stored it away in the attic. This is kind of, hey, we made it kind of thing. And if you can, this is a relatively inexpensive record to get. I always like those cheap, great records you can pick up. Just finding it in the condition, but always jackets. Smell it. You may smell some 70s weed with it. You never know. But because again, I've had them with burn holes and stuff in the covers before. So that's my pick, my second pick for the night.
That's a really good. I think I consider I think it might be a majority opinion, but I think there's some people might pick a few. But I think that's the best record of the, let's call it the first Aerosmith, because then they came back and had a little bit different sound.
This was their biggest, big, most successful record at that point. Yeah, and I don't know how it compares to modern day because they got into the ballads and the movies.
Everybody
and all that
loves
stuff.
Pump and Permanent Vacation,
but this is definitely amazing album.
Yeah, great record, Sean.
Yeah, I would honestly say, you talk about that being the third record. I feel like that's the record where Steven Tyler started kind of he started sounding like Steven Tyler, if that makes sense. Because the self-titled record, Get Your Wings, yeah, it still sounds like Steven Tyler. It's Aerosmith, you can tell, but like the voice that you came to know from Steven Tyler,
Yeah.
to me, started on that record.
It's like he become very confident in his voice, and
Yes.
he just got more aggressive with it on that
Yeah,
record.
I've always liked that record. As far as like what you were talking about, like with the eras of that band of the early Aerosmith stuff, bar none, I feel like that's the best record. So I think it's a great choice.
Oh, and one other thing with the Walk This Way, he wrote the lyrics on paper and he left it in a cab. And then he couldn't figure out the lyrics, so then he sat in a hallway with his number 2 pencil at the studio and forgot paper. So he wrote the lyrics on the wall in the stairwell then he went back later and got paper and rewrote the lyrics on the paper. So there's the whole Walk This Way is a huge, cool little story with the whole thing. And I just finished watching the Mel Brooks, the 99-Year-Old Man, recently too. So all this stuff kind of ties in with the Walk This Way, and it's awesome. All right, back to Johnny's number 3.
Coming back around. Okay, so let me pull my list up again with my cheat sheet. Okay, so like I said, I typically end my picks with a classic, and this was a tough one to pick because the group that I'm going to talk about, this could have been any number of albums from this group, and I'm pretty sure that there will be other albums from this group that make the list. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I looked at the list as it stands right now. There is not an entry from this group on the list yet, which I don't know how we've made it this far without having at least one. So I'm glad to present the first album on the Essential 500 for Creedence Clearwater Revival.
There you go.
This is their 4th studio album. It was their 3rd album from the year 1969. So when you think about the output that this band had in such a short amount of time, and they were only together technically for 5 years releasing albums, and this one was smack in the middle of that time. So this was kind of like right at the epicenter of their popularity. Willie and the Poor Boys, again, released October 1969. This was produced by none other than frontman John Fogerty. This reached number 3 in the U.S., selling 2 million copies. It sold 5.5 million worldwide. And the singles on this one, down on the corner. And as a military member, it's required that I love the song Fortunate Son. And every time I fly my Black Hawk helicopter, that's definitely going to be on the playlist.
That's the one.
Not that I ever fly Black Hawks. The deep cuts on this album, the whole album is absolutely amazing. The swamp rock sound with the blues and a little bit of country and Americana, the mixture is something that only CCR could pull off the way they do. It Came Out of the Sky, fantastic song. The closer on this album, Effigy, something just kind of like dark and sinister about it. I've always liked that song. And the harmonies in Cotton Fields, the way they kind of turn that song into their own. It's such a great album. Like I said, it was the last of 3 albums to be released in '69. I have a feeling that the other 2 might make this list at some point. I came to find out when researching this that this was originally supposed to be a concept album with Creedence Clearwater Revival taking on the identity of the band Willie and the Poor Boys. Some decision was made at some point to stop that whole concept.
Because it sounds like a Beatles concept, kind of.
It does have shades of Sgt. Pepper. Would you think? So that there's a ton that could be said about this album. Any of CCR stuff, just absolute classics of the late '60s. And again, like I said, I think to me, as being someone who's been a musician, the output that this band had in that amount of time is unfathomable sometimes, especially at the high caliber of which it was coming out. So CCR, Willie and the Poor Boys, on the Essential 500.
John, I got a comment and then I got a question. My comment is Fortunate Son is one of the greatest rock songs ever. Every time you put it on, you just want to turn it up. I mean, it's amazing. But my question is this: if you look at the Beatles, what the Beatles did on short turnarounds on records, and what CCR did, and even some of the early '70s Stones and what they were doing, um, not that we could ever go back to that, because now with the most of the revenue coming from touring for bands, they have to go tour to make a living.
Mhm.
I just think that the amount of time that some of the newer bands, well, really, starting with the '90s, the turnaround on albums was become like 3 years or 4 years on some bands. I just think they're missing capturing that lightning in the bottle like some of these groups did when Fogerty was in this groove. I mean, they did 3 in 1 year. I bet they did 7 in 4 years. It was just amazing what, they weren't together that long and they produced all those records. Same thing with the Beatles. I don't know. Have you ever thought about that as like having so many
it is
records?
something that I noticed that when you talk about the 60s and the early 70s and the output that these guys had, I don't know if there was just something in the water. I mean, it had to have been on either side of the Atlantic, because you're talking about the Beatles, the Stones, putting out their output, but then you have bands like CCR in the United States. So it's not just a British or American thing. It was just musicians during that time. You talk 90s, and you look at bands like Nirvana, for instance. You had Bleach in 89, Nevermind in 91. There's you a 2-year gap. And then In Utero in 93, there's another 2-year gap. So they were doing the 2-year thing. And then you look at bands like Tool that take 13 years in between albums.
Yeah.
So it's like there's this gap. And I think it became more in the, maybe not the 80s so much, but the 90s especially, because I lived through it. A band like Pearl Jam with an album like 10 was still living off of its singles 3 years after it came out.
Yeah.
So they kind of slow rolled these albums in the 90s, whereas in the 60s and 70s, it was, the Beatles were releasing 3 albums in 1964. CCR releases 3 albums in 1969. It's just this constant, just output.
Sometimes a new album would come out and they would have a top 10 song off the last album still on the charts.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now I will say, like with the Beatles, it was a lot of their early stuff where you were seeing a lot of the really fast output. A lot of it was cover songs. And they had been playing these songs. Yeah, the early stuff. When you look at the first 4 or 5 albums, a lot of them more like the boy band bubblegum pop Beatles stuff. It's music they'd already been playing for 5, 6, 7 years together as a band, that they were just throwing on these records, but they're all cover songs. You look at CCR, and there's some interpretations of like older Americana songs, or they'll do like Heard It Through the Grapevine, but they do like a 12-minute version of Grapevine. It's like they're not.
Is a good one too.
A lot of what CCR was doing was all all Fogerty. He was, it was amazing the way that it was immediate, just bam. Whereas the Beatles had to get popular. It took the Beatles 1-2 years just to get over to the United States to become popular. CCR was like lightning in a bottle. It just took off. So I don't know what it was.
How much of it could be with the record execs wanting more and more and more and more, and cash on these people to make them their cash cow and just pump out the records.
Well, that's true. And we know CCR had like a horrendous record deal, and they were making no money off their records. So it was I forget the guy's name. There's a lot written about that ordeal. Basically, like a lot of artists, most of their royalties stolen from them.
And the artist I'm doing next week, he pumped out about 12 or 13 records in 5 years.
Yeah.
Elton John and most of them are really, really good albums, but 13 and I think it was 12 or 13 in 5 years, which is crazy. And he was getting robbed by the same people that Northern Song guy, whatever his name is.
I just think about this sometimes, because I think like songwriters, it could be like sports. Like somebody gets the hot hand, right? Like, why you got the hot hand? Crank out some great stuff, before you experience life and you move to a new mental state, and you don't write songs like that. So many of the CCR songs sound like they were almost written at the same time. They have the CCR sounded like CCR. They only had one sound, really.
it makes me wonder if he had a lot of this, because when you look at the way that albums work back then, it's like, yeah, I guess CCR could have put out like a double album in 1969, but I guess they weren't popular enough to be putting out double albums, or the record label said, no, we'd rather do this on a single album release, more money. But it almost feels like you're saying, Scott, like they could have all been written at the same time, and maybe a lot of it was written at the same time, and Fogerty was just sitting on this stuff, and he wants to release all this music, but he can't pull a George Harrison where you just take years and years of music and dump it onto a triple album.
Yeah, but his situation was different.
I mean, it was different.
But all the Beatles, John and Paul, all had songs that were always sort of in the works forever.
Yeah.
So they all.
So I'm wondering if Fogerty may have just had like a whole stable full of just bangers, and as soon as the first album took off, he's just like, release it, and it's just album after album after album, because it is actually kind of incomprehensible the level of writing that he did in just 3 years.
I think CCR is the only thing comparable to the output of the Beatles in a short period of time. Like it really is remarkable how much came out in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So
Scotty.
Scott is next. Oh, that looks like a. Oh, I know.
Okay. Well, Floyd was crying the blues, and here at the end, I think we're bringing it back home to Floyd, and he's probably happy with us with some, with some classic rock, some Aqualung, some CCR, and I think you'll be happy with this one. My next record is going to be Hotel California. So there you go. I think probably all of us probably have that.
Hey, they were in her band.
Yeah,
a couple members of the Eagles.
And
until she sang one of their songs, they kind of were. She covers a song and whoop.
So let's talk a little bit about the legacy of Hotel California. It's setting at 26 million copies in the U.S. alone, 32 million worldwide. And I think it's really a watershed record for not only rock, but in particularly the Eagles. Like this was not your on the border Eagles, right? It was Joe Walsh enters the band, and Timothy B. Schmidt enters the band, and Randy Massner was actually on this record, but Joe Walsh was way more rock than Eagles had ever been. And, Felder's in the band, and he's kind of a rocker too.
He is,
and
Florida boy.
It really showed up. If you think about the origin of some of these songs, Hotel California, the beginning of that intro and the kind of weird sound it has, that was Felder on the beach, thinking, and then he goes in. He had a house on the beach, I think in Newport Beach or whatever, and he goes in and he starts recording these pieces. And of course, I think Henley. When I hear the lyrics of this song, a lot of people are credited on the writing. Like everybody, see Felder, Henley, and Fry all get credit on Hotel California. But when I hear the lyrics, I said that's all Henley lyrics, because they sound, his imagery he creates, it sounds like Henley. So, in today's day and age, I don't know if anybody could release a 7.5-minute song as a single. But that was one of the great things about a period of rock, where you could have these long opus type songs that, if they didn't have that, if they didn't put it out at 7.5 minutes, it could ended up like Comfortably Numb, where the single did not show how explosive that song could be, because they cut the solo short on the Wall record. Well, they didn't cut it short on Hotel California. That's one of the most recognizable lauded solos, where Felder and Walsh trade off on the lead, and just a kind of a song about like almost like being trapped in the excessism, what is it? What do I want to say? The people in the 70s lived life very large and very fast and very much on the edge, and the extremism of that lifestyle is kind of reflected in Hotel California. I mean, it's not a very good picture they paint, but it's such a cool sounding song. It has something eerie about it. So And that song, it's obviously the most well-known song. It won the Record of the Year Grammy. Um, they won 2 Grammys for this record. They were nominated for 4, and so that's Hotel California. But then you have Life in the Fast Lane, which is um, apparently a warm-up exercise that Joe Walsh was doing to, and you can think about the lick, and what he has to do to get that lick is pretty extreme. I could see why that would loosen you up. Henley heard him play it and say, "What is that?" And they built the whole lick of the song was his warm up, and they built a song around it, and a great song too. I hear a lot of Henley lyrics in that song too. And both those songs in my mind are 2 of the greatest rock songs ever. They're just terrific. And it had other singles too. New Kid in Town is probably more of a traditional Eagles sounding song, and I hear a lot of Glenn Fry. I mean, Fry sings it, but even in the songwriting, I hear a lot of Glenn Fry in that song. One of the hidden gems on this record, album cut I love. There's 2 of them I just love. Victim of Love, which was a Felder pen song, and Felder really wanted to sing it. And Felder's voice is acceptable, but
it's not Henley.
It's not Henley. And, Glenn Fry had to have a heart-to-heart with him and say, he was really mad about the fact that they're going to let Henley sing the song. And he said, "Listen, dude, I sing less songs than I used to in this band because we freaking have Don Henley in the band." Yeah. I mean, premier type vocal, very unique sounding. But it makes it, Felder's lick in it is just killer. It's a kind of rock track to it. And then I love the Wasted Time, the ballad on it. I think it's a beautiful song. So really great record. And I think I've told you guys in the past, I just don't run out and buy one steps, but that's how much I love this record. Is I never get tired of listening to it. You only have to really, listen to it once. I think everybody's heard it. If you've never heard it, to hear like, oh, it's an amazing record. So we'll add, this is 1976, and we'll add that to the Essential 500 tonight.
Yay. Awesome.
Hell of a pick. And again, one of those records, right? Like, you would have thought that we would have, picked that early on, right? And again, we're getting to a lot of those staples. Honestly, this next record that I'm going to pick, I'm surprised I haven't picked it sooner. It deserves it. Really, because one of the reasons, Johnny, please go ahead and cue that year for me one time. Thank you very much. 1994, bar none, the greatest year for music. And we are not stopping tonight because I have one other album. This record, probably one of the greatest debut albums of all time, which basically revitalized the Britpop movement. And I'm talking about Two Bros. I'm talking about the Gallagher brothers. And the album in reference, Shine, is a little Oasis, Definitely Maybe, released August 30th, 1994. Gosh, look, I'm smiling. Look how good that thing looks up next to my face.
Both have a lot of glare.
A little bit of glare. It's the forehead. It's the reflection off the forehead, guys. Come on. In the States, believe it or not, Definitely Maybe was not the success that What's the Story Morning Glory was. That was the album that really broke Oasis out in the States, although they did sell over 1 million copies in the U.S., but overseas, obviously worldwide, they sold well over 10 million copies. As far as songs, it's crazy. This album has several songs, not just, your typical 2 or 3 that usually, I'm talking several. It's got Supersonic, which was number 31 in the UK charts. It's got Shaker Maker, number 11. It's got Live Forever, number 2. It's got Cigarettes and Alcohol, which was number 7. But the best song on the album, for whatever reason, I don't know. Anybody in here, I want the chat involved. What song have I not mentioned from that list? because it's probably the greatest Oasis song ever written, in my opinion. Well, no one wants to type it out. It's okay.
Well, there is a
That's
delay.
going to
So.
be
Yeah, there's a delay.
Slide Away. Probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest Oasis songs ever written. Now, it's crazy because none of these songs charted in the U.S. when it came out. But, and a lot of that, who knows, a lot of that very well could have been when they came to the States, they played at the Whiskey, and the show that they played was a train wreck. And the problem was they were all high. One of the guys that was basically in charge of putting the set list together of songs, they all had different lists. So it was just a train wreck from the get-go. And to a point where did a couple of songs. Liam got pissed, threw a tambourine at Noel, kind of walked off the show. Didn't really go as well as planned because there was a lot of hype on them when they came to the States. And that is when Noel basically he vanished. He left the band of the mindset he was done. He got some cash. He got on an airplane. He flew to San Francisco, and he basically stayed with kind of a girlfriend, a fling of his, for several days. And they finally tracked him by, like, I guess, credit cards or whatever he was using, and found out where he was, and found out he was actually staying with this woman who actually, oddly enough, kind of became a little bit of a muse. And Talk Tonight, which was a phenomenal Oasis song that Noel Gallagher wrote. That song, more or less, was about that experience being with her. But those few days, whatever happened when he was there, basically he just kind of came to his senses. All right, let's go. Got back with the band, and of course they got back in the studios and went in and did What's the Story, Morning Glory, which I did earlier. But I remember the first time I heard this record, I was actually, I think, a sophomore in high school, and it was late summer, getting ready to start junior year, and I was in a car with a buddy of mine, and he's like, "Man, you got to listen to this band called Oasis. They're unbelievable."
Who is this person that we can blame?
He is practically a brother of mine. His name is Jeremy Barrow.
All right, we'll have to write
And
a
I
strongly
was-
worded letter to him.
And man, I got to tell you, I was so glad that I was in his truck. Now, I had known of Live Forever. That was the only song. And I remember when I told him, I'm like, "Oh, those are the guys that sing that Live Forever song that's like playing on the radio nonstop." Yeah. Didn't think anything about it. But he said, "Nah, you got to hear this song called Slide Away." And he played that, and he had a cassette tape and played it in his truck. Mind blown. That one song basically made me a lifelong diehard Oasis fan. And that was the man who stood next to me at the Oasis
and
reunion. That's right. So I'm trying not to get emotional because it was a very emotional moment. I've known him. He's like a brother to me. He's the closest thing to a brother without being blood related. But I was there with him when I first heard that song and that record in his car. And then I was there with him when we saw them perform in front of 80,000 people. And when they played that song, man, he turned and looked at me, and it was kind of like that whole just revisiting that moment in his car. And here we are, fat, balding, 30 some odd years later. And it's like you just relive that whole moment. And it was such a wonderful experience. But this record, guys, talk about, influences and how important the Beatles are. Without the Beatles, you don't have Oasis.
So I finally have one
Yes.
strike against the Beatles. Finally have one.
And
The Beatles could have spared us. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
No, but
now where did the title of the album come from? Like, definitely, maybe we're gonna finish this record today. their whole turmoil.
I don't know the story, perhaps like behind it. I probably could dig and tell you a little of the significance on
It's
it.
probably the friction, and they never thought they were going to finish the album.
But it's just what makes it, what makes Oasis. I think what everybody loves about Oasis, what I love about Oasis, I love the fact that they are pompous. I laughed and thought it was hilarious when they made the statement that they were better than the Beatles. Come on, they know they're not. But I can tell you the movement, the Britpop movement that they started, in my opinion, was probably the closest thing to the Beatles invasion when they came to the States in '64 and performed on Ed Sullivan. There was nothing like it. And a lot of their sounds, the way that Noel Gallagher writes, the whole writing format on his lyrics, right? It's almost very Lennon McCartney-ish. It's very basic.
Watch your mouth.
But it's very basic, but it's also very complex as well. And everything they do, I mean, all their riffs, man, they've got just the catchy guitar hooks. And it's not like Noel Gallagher is this phenomenal guitarist. He's probably, average, if not a little bit better, but it's simple. And that's what makes it great. I could pick up a guitar and I don't consider myself a musician, but gosh, I could play a ton of Oasis songs because all the chords, they're all very similar, but the writing and just the sound matched up with Liam's voice, you can't beat it, man. You can't beat it.
All right, we have to move on a little bit because we have the rest of the show to do, but I appreciate your enthusiasm for Oasis. We can cut it out, I guess. We could probably edit it out. All right, so I think I have the last album, which now I only have 30 seconds. Thank you, Gonza.
He nailed it.
For the record, we're still under time, so screw you.
So this album.
We're still good.
I know some people's complaint is that all their records kind of sound the same, but when they got to record number 4, it changed a little bit. And this is Houses of the Holy, which it always blows my mind that Houses of the Holy is not even on this album. It's on an album further down the road. I just lost train of thought here. So at this point now, they've got money under their belt. Now they have home studios, so they can do a little more finagling the music and changing up the sound a little bit. It's a little less bluesy rock, grungy kind of. It's a little less that than the previous albums. But you get some great songs on it. There was a challenge by George. Well, George Harrison made a comment that Led Zeppelin doesn't have any ballads. There's no ballads. So they went out of their way to make sure they wrote a ballad. No Rain Song.
Yeah.
And if the beginning of the song actually has the same chords as Something. If you go back and listen to it, it's the same chords at the beginning of the song on Rain Song. But again, they were able to experiment a little bit more and spend more time fine-tuning the music. So you got a little bit different sound than we're used to. Again, there's another band in the first few years pumped out 5 albums in the first 4 years. There was 5 albums, and they're all amazing albums. So I'm not going to go crazy. We know the cover. It's 2 kids, so they just keep copying them. So there's it didn't win any major awards. It sold 30 million copies worldwide. It did get a Grammy nomination for what they call it, album package. It got a nomination for that, and I think shortly after that category disappeared. But I am glad they have brought that category back. It makes the art of an album important again. So there you go.
I would say, Led Zeppelin had a lot of songs that had ballads in them. They just turned into something else by the end of the song. That's a good record. I'm surprised when you put that forward. I think this is the 4th Zeppelin we've put in. So we've put in 2, we've put in 4, and we put in Physical Graffiti, and now Houses of the Holy,
which doesn't have Houses of the Holy on it. It's on Physical Graffiti.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to deny the Zeppelin records. They're really, really, they're good. They're really good. So,
All right, so that's our essentials for this week, right? I didn't forget anybody. I mean, I've been known to do it. So now we're gonna kind of bring it over and let Johnny talk about the next segment. This is how we phrasing this: albums that should get a release on vinyl that haven't.
Yeah, I've got I have my cheat sheet is listed as the top 5+5 list of no vinyl releases. So when I was talking with Scott about this idea, we were kind of just throwing around like what kind of list could we do? And I do appreciate being able to come on here twice and do lists on a show that's not even mine. So I appreciate the opportunity. And I did a little bit of research, threw some stuff together. So kind of what this is kind of built around is, we all love music, and a lot of us are vinyl collectors. There still exist cassette tapes and CDs and mini discs or whatever format it is you choose to listen on. But a lot of us as vinyl record collectors want our stuff on, these nice display pieces and on vinyl records. Yeah, it's a top 10 list. It's sort of a top 10. What I kind of want to do with this list, and what we've kind of talked about going into it, is I've got a list of 10 plus an honorable mention, but really this becomes a discussion piece. So we each have kind of like our own little list of stuff we want to see come out, but your list might be different, and that's what the chat area is for. So if there's something that we don't mention that you're like, you guys, you missed this one, you should be considering this one as well, put in the chat, because I can't think of them all. Usually this list pertains to what comes to my mind first.
Right.
So what I'll start with is an honorable mention before we get into the actual list. Jake, if you want to go grab your favorite album of all time, The Rentals, Return of the Rentals, only has unofficial pressings, and this is where I'm going to state
it probably should stay that way.
We will talk about records that you might say, oh, but that does have a vinyl release, but it's not an official vinyl release. So the Return of the Rentals was only pressed unofficially. And what happened with this album is that while Matt Sharp of Weezer fame was working on releasing it on vinyl officially, it was discovered that all the master tapes were either lost or destroyed. Additionally, the master artwork was also lost. So the result that you get is there's only two unofficial digital transfers onto vinyl with pixelated cover art. And Jake could probably tell you, he's got it right there in his hand, how bad the pixelation is. And this will likely be the only way that this album will ever be available to us. And
this is hard. This is even hard to get.
It is.
I think Scott destroyed the master tape.
So that's my honorable mention going into this. But we'll kick off officially into the 10. So number 10, I have, and this honestly, the ranking thing, the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, it's not necessarily like this is the most important, least important. This is just a list. So what I have at number 10 is Israel Kamakawaoli, or Brada Is, Facing Future from 1993. And that's the one that Sean was showing off. There it is on CD. So that's the only way you can get it at this point. It is the best-selling album of all time by any Hawaiian artist. It includes his biggest hit, which is a cover of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And probably, and a lot of this, when we talk about these things, are going to be a lot of guesswork involved. But my guess here is that this was released on an independent label, and that might be the reason why it never got a major vinyl release. So I guess before we move on to the next one on the list, any thoughts, particularly, I guess, from Sean, because I know this is one that you wanted on this list.
I lost Jake.
Sean kicked me off on purpose. Damn it! On purpose.
I can't.
That's okay. Just hear the voice. That's all you need. All you need is the voice.
Well, my list. The thing is, I had this one obviously, and I was also talking about Tony Bennett Unplugged, and until 2 days ago, it wasn't getting a vinyl release, and it's on RSD. Yes.
So miracles can happen. So hold out long enough or complain to the right people. And maybe Iz can get a vinyl release. I think, especially, some type of audio file release of his stuff would sound amazing.
A one step would be.
Yes. That moves us on to, I think this one was, so number 9 was actually suggested, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, by Lyle last week. Recommended Natalie Imbruglia's White Lilies Island. This is from 2001. So this was her follow-up to her breakthrough album Left of the Middle, which had Torn on it. You probably remember the radio hit Torn. The album was critically and commercially received much lower than her debut. And I don't know, maybe that was the reason why it got no initial vinyl pressing. But it's probably been one of the reasons for no reissues either. And that's one of the things you'll probably see with a lot of these albums is that, they never had any vinyl release, so they never got a later reissue either. And if a album wasn't popular to begin with, then the record label's probably like, it didn't do it the first time. Why would it do it a second time? So, Natalie Imbruglia, for having such a huge hit in the late 90s, the follow-up just didn't do anything, and it never had a vinyl release. Number 8, this is kind of a cheater for number 8. So the album Torn was on, did get a pressing, but the follow-up did not get a press, any kind of vinyl press. So yeah, Torn was actually on vinyl. Number 8 is this is kind of a cheat. So I'm going to use number 8 as an artist. The artist is John Mellencamp. And it kind of surprised me. I knew of one of these. And then when I actually did more research, I was kind of shocked to learn that from 93 all the way through 99, this man released 4 albums and none of them had a vinyl release. So we're looking at Human Wheels in 93, Dance Naked in 94, Mr. Happy Go Lucky in 96, and Rough Harvest in 99. So an entire string of 90s albums from one of the most prolific American singer-songwriters of the 80s. He did have one in the middle there in 98 that did get a vinyl pressing, only one, and it's very rare and expensive now. It was probably during a time he was on Mercury, and Rough Harvest was the last album on Mercury. So some of these, it just may have been issues with the label at the time.
Yeah, this one ends in
Rough
88.
Harvest. What's that?
This one ends in 1988. It's 1978 to 88.
Yeah, so the early stuff.
Yeah, I think Rough Harvest is it's like a special record that was on Mercury, but the stuff that's missing actually is Columbia. So Columbia didn't really put any of the early Mellencamp records on. So all the box sets you see and everything, that's all Mercury doing the reissues of the bigger albums. But there were some big albums that are missing. Mr. Happy Go Lucky was a really good selling record. Dance Naked had a monster hit that had the cover of the Van Morrison song on it. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, when you talk about, I think that'll be a theme when you look at the two major companies, the whole Rhino Warner Brothers, they are kicking Sony Universal's ass when it comes to vinyl reissues and initial first presses of stuff.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into the next number 7 on this is another artist entry, and that's one I'm pretty sure Scott's going to take the lead on this one. This is Sheryl Crow, and this is the self-titled from 1996 and the Globe Sessions from 1998. Her debut in 93 did provide her big breakout hit, and it performed better on the charts as far as sales goes than both of these albums. But both of these albums contain singles that are just as, if not more, recognizable than anything off of that debut album. When you think of Sheryl Crow and her hits, they're usually the ones that come off of these records. Now, this one, it's rumored, I've heard that this
is her debut album. This is Sheryl Crow's debut album.
Somebody kick
you think so? Is that the
on
technicality we're working on?
Yeah,
kick Sean.
And I get booted. I get booted.
So it's rumored that the master tapes for these albums were lost in the Universal fire of 2008, along with a lot of other artists. But that's always the excuse that I've read online for these two albums is like, oh, there's no master tapes left. So
yeah,
that's
it's a rumor because Sony Universal won't be very transparent about exactly what is there and not there. I mean, there was a really great New York Times article about that fire, looking back at it, and I'll put the link actually in the chat for anybody who wants to go read it. It's a great read, but Sheryl Crow didn't even know till this investigative reporter dug in, and her name was mentioned that her masters. Obviously not Tuesday Music Club because they issued that, but maybe that wasn't damaged in the fire. But not only self-titled Globe Sessions, but Come On, which are three great records. And I think when she really become a mature artist, I don't love Tuesday Music Club. I love those other three records. But I'm like, where are the safety copies? Because they put one in the vault and they send the other one to Iron Mountain or whatever. That's what they typically do. Send first generation copies someplace else, and it's just a shame because you're talking about Globe Sessions self-titled. They were multi-million sellers, platinum. Come On was a gold record. Probably by now it's probably certified platinum too. I think this is one of the biggest oversights, and if you can't do it or there's a problem, I wish they would just come out and say, because I don't know of any other significant artists from the 90s with this kind of sales that those records are not on vinyl.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully someone took a copy home and has it in a box in their closet and we'll find it in 5 years. That's kind of some of the stuff comes out. And I also heard that big fire was anti-Oasis people trying to eliminate any more Oasis pressings.
Unbelievable.
It was arson.
Moving up the list.
I'm sure it was an Oasis fan that helped put the fire out. All right.
It was probably Liam Gallagher that started the fire.
Liam trying to burn him. Definitely, maybe never gonna listen to this again.
I wouldn't put it past the brothers.
No, really.
They probably were fighting as the fire was going on.
From here forward, this is kind of more like Johnny's list more than it is like anything else, because these are the ones that I kind of started with when I started developing this list. So number 6 is going to act as the spokesperson for any kind of compilation or soundtrack. I chose, because it was a huge one for me in the mid 90s, was the soundtrack for Escape from LA. And plug in whatever 90s movie you want to. There was a lot of 90s films that did not get their soundtracks put out on vinyl. Escape from LA just happens to be one that's it's just an awesome collection of like mid 90s songs from like popular mainstream heavy rock artists like Tool, White Zombie, Toadies. We talked about them earlier. Deftones, I showed off their records earlier. Ministry, Stabbing Westward, Clutch, Sugar Ray. The most interesting inclusion on that album was Tori Amos, but it was a phenomenal album. Introduced me to a lot of artists in the mid 90s, but it's never had a vinyl release. So
much better than the movie.
Due to like legal reasons, all different labels now own the rights to these songs, so that's probably why you'll never see it. But I say I'm putting that in there as the spokesperson for all soundtracks from the 90s, and I can't think of any others off the top of my head that I would personally like to see pressed.
Jaws 4.
Jaws 4 has never had a pressing.
No, it's on CD, but it's $100 CD, but not on vinyl. Never.
You know why? Because it's Jaws 4. That's why. Jaws 4.
I'm not arguing with you. Yeah.
Horrible.
I watched it a few weeks ago. It's not as bad as we remember it, but
this is one of those, right? Soundtracks that are better than the movies themselves.
Oh, that's Escape from LA.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, what killed the movie is watching Peter Fonda and Kurt Russell surfing. The CGI, god awful. Yeah, it killed it. I got up and was like, this is ridiculous. I got up.
Is Jaws 4 the movie where the shark roared?
That is the first movie when he dies. They used a clip from the movie The Duel as the shark dying. Yeah.
Let's see what I have next on the list. So, number 5 on my list. I want Scott, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably one that's up your alley. Sister Hazel, Somewhere More Familiar.
Yes.
Yeah, this album from 1997. This always reminded me of Blues Traveler, but like the cooler version of Blues Traveler. It reminds me of summer in the late 90s. Something about the album. I have always loved the drum sound on this album. It's just something about. I have this theory about, like, if you like vocal sound, you will like 60s music. If you like crunchy guitar sound, you'll like the 70s. If you like synthesizers, take yourself over to the 80s. If you like really good drum sound, 90s rock all day long. There's something about the drum mixes in the 90s, and this is one of those albums. There's surprisingly good guitar work on this album, which is not common for a lot of post-grunge bands. They were a lot more just kind of straightforward rock. It has rock, pop, country sensibilities, but in good measure. It doesn't really lean too hard into any one of those. Good 2-part harmonies. You know it for the hits Happy and All For You. This album needs to be put on vinyl 100%. I would want to say they have other albums that haven't been pressed either. Am I correct, Scott? Or
yeah, so their run on again Universal, they so the next album, which has Change Your Mind and Champagne High, Fortress, that has not gotten. Luckily, they went independent and they retained all their rights for future albums. So we are the ones after that, they have self-released them, and they had some great ones. So yeah, so I'd like to have Something More Familiar and Fortress. But again, somebody's got to go over to Universal's house and kick them in the ass and say, "Get with it."
Yeah.
You know.
Next on my list is Seven Dust. And for those of you who don't know Seven Dust, yes, it's more of like a heavy rock, like metal band. But their 1999 album, Home, it was kind of their breakthrough album that put them on the mainstream. And on the radio, it includes the first couple of real hits that the group had. It's a significant production step up from their debut, which the debut actually got an official vinyl release. And it's a great album on its own, but it's a little raw, underproduced. This album was definitely a step in the right direction. There's only unofficial pressings of this. I do have this on vinyl, but it's unofficial. It sounds good, but it would be nice to get an actual official pressing of Home from Seven Dust. Going back to more kind of not quite Sister Hazel, but in the same vein. This is a band that had some huge monster hits in the mid 90s. But then they had like this kind of middle era period where a lot of their stuff didn't get pressed to vinyl. And I'm choosing one album out of that middle era, and that's Collective Soul's Youth from 2004. Again, like I said, it's their middle era albums, like their early stuff, like Hence Allegations, Things Left Unsaid, the self-titled Discipline Breakdown. All these albums have vinyl releases. This is the first in a string of 3 albums from that middle era that have never been pressed. But this one to me sounds more like the early stuff. So if you like the early Collective Soul sound, this is more up your alley. Very catchy guitar riffs, which Ed Roland is really good at, is just writing a really good, catchy guitar riff. And it was the first album on the band's own label, which might explain why there's difficulties in getting an initial pressing of this. But CD is the only way you can hear this one to this point, not even an unofficial pressing of this one. And I want to say this is one of your favorites, Scott, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in my opinion, Youth is Collective Soul's best record. It is amazing record. And I hope they, the Collective Soul catalog, both what was on major label and their own, is creeping out. But I would have to think Youth is going to be the next one that comes, because Better Now is on that, and that Better Now became like has become a concert stable for Collective Soul. Great, like 7-minute long song in concert, and it's terrific. So I hope, I love Collective Soul, and that's one of my favorite. We, you know, as we talk, that's a record because they were independent. It didn't have the PR and the hype behind it, but it's as good as anything they ever did.
Yeah. It's underrated, definitely needs to be on vinyl. And that applies to my number 2, which again is not necessarily one album, but a group that has more than 2 records. But I think these two that I'm going to talk about, they absolutely need to put on vinyl. And we're talking about Live, the group Live. And this is their 2001 and 2003 releases. The titles are Five and Birds of Prey, respectively. Neither album was as successful as the predecessors, Throwing Copper, Secret Samadhi, The Distance to Here, which may explain why they haven't received a more modern pressing. Five was never even intended to be released as it exists currently. It was just thrown together by the label because they wanted to get something out. Again, it's all about money. And the sound is a bit of a departure from what people were accustomed to Live sounding like. It was a little bit more nu metal, a little bit more like rap rock in certain areas. But then Birds of Prey was almost a total departure from that, where they started sounding a lot more mature, maybe perhaps too adult contemporary for their fan base. Good album, but it is definitely a different sound for Live, not nearly as edgy.
Yeah, I mean, Heaven was a pretty big song off of that, though.
It was
probably the biggest hit they had in quite a while when that was released.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a solid album. I'm a huge fan of Live, not just like 1 or 2 albums, like their entire. I think Songs from Black Mountain, the album that came out after Birds of Prey, is actually a very underrated album. It's kind of straightforward, but it's really good songwriting. It doesn't have a vinyl release either. So Live, for a band that was as big as they were, to not have these on vinyl is an oversight in my opinion. Yeah. And for me, the number 1 might be kind of anticlimactic for a lot of you here, but this is a group that the fan base is rabid, and there are a couple releases from this band that the fan base really wants to see put on vinyl, and one has never had an official release at all, and I'm talking about Tool, and I'm talking about 10,000 Days from 2006. It's their 4th studio album. There are unofficial pressings. I have one myself. It's the only full-length album that this band has ever put out that's easy to get is their first full-length, which is Undertow. Everything else that they've ever put out is either rare, expensive, it comes in a big box set, or it's a picture disc. This is usually the second highest request from their fan base. The other one is Anima, which had an official release, but it's super expensive. It's like more than
$800 to $1,000 plus.
Yeah. The last one I saw sold on Discogs was over $2,000 for that album. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Both 10,000 Days and Anima celebrate anniversaries this year. So hoping that we get something from one of these albums. But Tool is notorious for trolling their fans and just releasing like weird novelty paraphernalia and t-shirts. So are we going to get a vinyl release of either of these? Probably not, but that's part of the joy of being a Tool fan.
Well, so, they need to get also Lateralis without the picture on it, without the.
Yeah, Lateralis is one that, like Lateralis. I said, it's either expensive, rare, picture disc. Lateralis, my copy on picture disc, I don't think it sounds terrible, but yeah, it could
mine
be
wasn't
better.
Great.
Yeah,
my copy.
So,
I think
it says Maynard James Keenan's a person who makes art and moves on, doesn't care about it anymore, and that's kind of I agree. And he's got his hands in multiple bands as well as a vineyard, and
he loves his wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jonny, thanks for pulling that together, and I think we could probably add a few and see if the chat has any. And by the way, we're talking about records that never had a press. If we wanted to do in dire need of a repress, that could probably be like a 3-hour show itself.
Yeah, that's a whole separate list.
But I did want to say there was for me, Counting Crows Hard Candy is something that
Mm.
really needs a vinyl pressing. I'd put Better Nezzer Before the Robots in the 500. That one
Yeah.
is such a great record. And another one is I was going to give Jonny 7 Mary 3, and then they announced that 7 Mary 3 Orange Avenue is coming in April, but we still need Rock Crown. So hopefully, if Atlantic did Orange Avenue, I think they'll do Rock Crown, and then we'll have the first 3 7 Mary 3 records on vinyl, because American Standard was issued a couple years ago on vinyl. Love me some 7 Mary 3, and I know Jonny does too.
And also with some of these things, like for example, the Jaws that I was talking about, the CD, because there's no vinyl, is $100 CD. Last week I sold an unofficial Weird Al Yankovic Straight Out of Linwood. The CD goes for $100. So it's another reason why they should get a reissue, so that you're not paying $100 for a CD.
Jaws 4.
Well,
So-
That's a good look for you.
we had a good comment from two Lost Souls asking, why doesn't RSD focus more on this? I said, yeah, they could drop a few of those damn live albums and maybe focus a little more on these things. I have to admit, I was waiting on this list because we had been consistently getting Better Nezra every year. The past 3 years we got a Better Nezra. I was really looking for Before the Robots, and it wasn't there. But I did find that Dog's Eye View, which is Jake.
We talked about that. We talked about that months ago, and I'm like, I have no idea why they've never pressed it, and I would love just to have an unofficial copy of it.
But now you don't have
it's happening.
It and with the it's a lot of 90s records that we're talking about, like, very late in 89, 90 on till vinyl. Like I'll credit bands like Pearl Jam that kept putting stuff out on vinyl and kept the hobby alive long enough for people to again start issuing. But there's a probably 8 years where there just wasn't a lot of pressing going on, and I don't know why. Don't give me the 45th special box set by a group. Put out stuff you haven't put out. Even if you're only going to run 2,000 of them, there are people that will buy them. And to their credit, they've done some. Like, they went back, they got all the trains, right? Like this year, they finally put the self-titled Train out, which is a great record.
Got it.
Most of the Train now is out there on vinyl, and you can get it. But I hope they keep it going. I would love to see more like Dog's Eye View like on that RSD list, because it's still missing.
And if any of you have never heard that record, it's called Happy Nowhere. Just 90s acoustic stuff, real chill. Huge hit on it, obviously, is Everything Falls Apart. That's the big song. There's 3 or 4 other songs on there that are great. It's a great record. I think Peter Stewart's very underrated as a writer. And I mean, they really had 2 records that I knew of, which was Happy Nowhere and then Daisy, which I just don't ever remember there being any promotion of it at all.
Yeah. I mean, here's a record I've actually forgotten about. Cry Love Brother. That is a great record. I mean, it didn't really sell that well, but it has a really strong following of people that realized after the fact that was actually a really good record. So yeah, Cry Love Brother, that needs to be out there. Get pressed.
I'm going to blame Taylor Swift, because every time she has a new album, every record plant on the world has to press it, taking away time for some of these titles to be pressed. It's
I don't think I disagree with you on that.
Like, remember when Adele 30 came out and everything else was you couldn't find anything on anything else because all the plants were making that. So it's Adele and Taylor Swift's fault. I'll just put that out there.
And in all honesty, I think some of that does kind of slow down the process sometimes. But I think the ultimate reason behind a lot of this stuff is it's all legal and money. And
Yeah.
if someone doesn't have the rights, or they're not owning whatever publication is necessary, then it's just not going to get done.
27 variants.
And
And
that's
then there's Tool, and they just hate everybody. So
I
Well,
think
that's-
Tool's just been anti-establishment since day one. They don't care, man.
yeah,
You know, they don't
Which is
care.
sad. Which is sad.
I would
and
say if you care about the fans. That's, I mean, you do it for the fans.
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, that just comes off as arrogant. Like,
I agree.
To not. I don't care what you want. It's like Adam Duritz not singing Mr. Jones every night.
Jones.
Get over yourself. Come on.
Yeah.
Somebody
we
just
talked
spent
about
$200
this,
on
right?
that ticket so they can hear Mr. Jones play the
Absolutely.
damn song.
You know, yeah. That's why you go to see, man, you pay to see the hits. You want to see them sing the songs that got you in the band. That's the ticket. I agree with you. I don't give a damn if you hate it or not. That's what puts you on the map. That's what people are there to see. Give it to them.
Yeah, there's a lot behind this. If you ever watch some of the videos about like the Rhino Hi-Fi, people say, oh, we need more. We need Led Zeppelin on Rhino Hi-Fi or whatever, but it's a complicated legal process with some of these because the rights in UK are separated sometimes from the US rights, and it's hard to work it out. And, maybe that is slowing down. I did hear today, I was reading an article that, we get, if you've noticed, we get some great represses and audiophile treatments of some Van Morrison records, but there's some that are not getting attention. And apparently Warner only has the rights to the first 3 Van Morrisons that Van Morrison has the rights to. I'm thinking of Veed and Fleece because it's probably like his best record that just doesn't get pressed, at all. And so, I mean, I understand a lot of that, but again, somebody cut a deal, think about the fans out there who desperately want to have this stuff. And even for a band, I mean, if you're doing record store days and you're only pressing 1,000, that tells me, well, you could press 500 and, see if you get any kind of reaction. Because I think they're surprised sometimes when some of these records come out and they do 2,000 press and they sell out immediately. There's more of a market out there than I even think the record companies think about for some of these records.
Sure.
Cold has those Cold records were just re-released. Like if you go look, they're out there now, or they're going to be released. All 3 of the first Cold records are scheduled for release. That's another band that early 2000s band, probably earlier.
And I'm going to give Taylor Swift some props because she deserves it, I guess. But she redid her albums, but she did them well. How many times do you buy a greatest hits album and that one song that you loved is a live version or a different version of the original? Warrant, Heaven, the OG Heaven is the only one I want to hear. I don't want to hear a remix or a live. Those are the ones that drive me insane. But a lot of times it's probably they have the licensing for 8 of the songs on the greatest hits. The last 2, it's a different record company, so they do a live version. It's all money. I mean, it really is in the contracts, but they'll sneak in 2 lives, and I think it's probably because they don't have the rights to it right now.
Yeah, Joni Mitchell does have some of her catalog. I mean, they did a good job pressing out a big reissue of Joni Mitchell past couple years, but there are still
as the
stuff
movies
missing. Yeah, and so I mean, it's a great topic. It's a frustrating topic for me because not only the legal stuff, the lack of transparency by Sony Universal about, if these bands' tapes burned up, come out and tell us that that's what happened. At least then we could start saying, well, maybe we could take a DSD file, which I would imagine they exist of these records, and press that. Give us something. But it makes me think maybe that's why we don't have Steve Winwood ever like redone in audiophile treatment, because that's an audiophile sounding record, but they've never done it. And that's Allen Records, Sony Universal. So maybe the masters don't exist for that record anymore, which would be a crime.
Yeah. Be great to listen to a MoFi copy of Back in the High Life.
Oh, wouldn't it be? It'd be like a religious experience, I would think. At least for me and you, Jake, right?
I know.
Everybody else says, well, wow, that's a piece of crap, but
Oh, it's a great album.
It's a
I'm on that
great
same
album,
page.
man, start to finish.
I love it. I have never gotten tired of that record.
As
Right.
Tom Berenger said in Major League, cover to cover, babe. Start to finish, man. That whole album rocks.
All right, so we got to think of it starting to wrap up here, guys, because we are at 2 hours and 20 minutes because of Jake's Oasis dissertation.
I think that had nothing to do with it.
If you guys have any questions, please this is the time. And also again, the Discord, you can join us there. There's the RSD category. Sometimes before the show, I'm live on Discord in a live video. You guys can kind of get this behind the scenes of our first kind of an hour before the show. You can check that out on some nights. I want to have that on Discord. You just
That's probably not pretty. I always forget that you've been doing that lately. God knows what people think.
I was by myself today and I played Wordle. I played Wordle for a while. But
we just lost
Discord.
Followers.
Yeah, we just did. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about any questions. Well, first, let me thank the chat, right? Because we did something a little different tonight, and you guys really engaged. I appreciate it. Appreciate anytime a guest comes and puts together a list for us. We know because we do the top fives. It's added work to come on the show and be ready for the top list. Johnny's always great about participating with us. And let's talk about what's coming up. Now, I don't know when we can get Johnny back, but I'll talk to him and see when we can book him out. I know he's getting busy in March. Maybe we can go ahead and get a date on the calendar for April to get him back. But next week we have another great week. Vinyl Canyon is coming next week, and it'll be her first appearance on the show. And I know she's excited. I've been talking to her this week on chat, and so she'll be here. The top five will Mr. Shark is going to take care of that with the Elton John top five studio.
He has 13
albums.
records in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Sean always stresses.
Well, and most of the 80s,
over
but the
top
good thing
five.
is most of the 80s you can just.
Yeah. Well, they
Sorry,
always
Elton.
have a couple, 3 good songs on them, but yeah, album wise, they're not great. How do we get on Discord? Sean could probably take
There's
care
the
of
link
that.
right there on the bottom of the screen. I don't know if you can copy it. I don't know if you have that ability, but it's right there. And I'll put it in the chat too. It's probably easier to copy in the chat.
So that's the 12th. So that's Janet Vinyl Canyon joining us. Top 5 will be Elton John. The following week, Stacy comes back, and I'm going to give Stacy an added challenge. She already got extra work too. So again, another guest has volunteered to do the top 5. Stacy's going to tackle Taylor Swift studio albums, and she's already sent them to me. She's locked them down. I'm not going to let her change that. So she's committed.
And she's taken a big step back and really re-examined them. She's been putting a lot of work into that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I really respect that. I think everybody's done that. When anybody's done a top 5, they've done their homework. They're ready to go, and we really appreciate that. The other thing I'm going to ask Stacy to do is maybe we'll have a little bit of discussion about what were the best years since 2010 for music. Not top 5, just
That's true. She was a big critic of your list last week.
Oh, she was busting me.
She was pissed. She was pissed off at you.
She may still be pissed off at you.
I feel like I have an ageism civil rights complaint, with all that stuff. But like I said, I'll go back to the point. There has been great music. I know there has, but I just wonder if anything since 2010 is concentrated as some of these years that the 10 years we talked about on the last episode. So she's going to take that challenge. And the kind of fun thing that I'll let you guys in, because I hope we can get it together. We're going to do a No Men on the Record and form Women on the Record. Stacy's working to try to get that together. So we'll take we'll be there because we'll have to run the restream. But it'd be great. I think that'd be a fun episode. So
is it No Men on the Record, 4 Women on the Record? What is it going to be called?
I don't know. We're even going to give the production role to Stacy. So she's in charge of the whole episode. All we're doing, we're the hired help to make sure the stream works and all that. So
I want to load the logo so I can make a T-shirt.
Oh, there you go. See, now we need a logo. Stacy, we're loading her up with work.
You could have the logo.
It's similar
you probably want it to look very similar to probably the Rentals, Return of the Rentals. Nice white backdrop. You can see everything. It's absolutely breathtaking.
We just got to tell Retta that it's what's her show that she watches? We'll just tell her it's
Dateline.
Dateline.
Yeah.
Well, here's what we got to do. We got to, like, when Johnny goes on drill, we know Retta is up at all hours of the night
because
she pops up all over whatnot. So just wait till Johnny's out of town and say, Retta, if you don't come on this show, we are boycotting buying records from Channel 910 to you appear.
Well, I don't know. I got a good Floyd connection over there in my UK First Presses.
I got to wait till Johnny mails my Van Morrison. I'm hoping that went out today.
Scott, I just came across, I can't remember if I have it. I might have sold it, but I did see a Veed and Fleece Vinyl Me Please when I was at the record store yesterday, and I had it.
Next time you go back, if it's still there.
Yeah, it's like a $30, $40 record. Do you have it?
No, I don't have it. And if it's clean, vinyl.
I'll check it out.
You said Vinyl Me Please or music on vinyl?
I think it's Vinyl Me Please.
Oh yeah, pick that up. I'll even pay you some margin on that. I'll pay you. I'll buy you lunch.
Just slip me, C note. Well, that'll be great.
That'll work. C note.
Yeah, C note. Awesome.
All right, so we've got some other stuff working in, for March, but that's pretty much what we got laid out, and I'm kind of excited. I hope Stacy can pull that together. It could be kind of fun to sit back and watch somebody else do our show. That would be fun. So,
yeah.
And we'll plug Johnny because Johnny doesn't really ever plug himself very well, but Johnny's YouTube content is outstanding. So please go over and follow him. And he comes over here a lot, and I hope he can keep coming over here. I know it's the middle of the night, but we appreciate you, brother.
We do, man.
Appreciate you. It's not the middle of the night. It's early in the morning. It's 4:30 in the morning here.
If we kept letting Jake talk, we could probably watch the sun come up over there.
Yeah, there we go.
God, wouldn't it be a wonderful sunrise? It'd be lovely. We could play a little Oasis.
All right.
Excellent.
Something to look forward to.
So, no, I appreciate you guys having me on here.
All right, so I think that kind of finishes up our show this week, and I want to thank you guys for all hanging out with us, and we'll be back on Thursday. What do we got for shows this week? I know Scott is Saturday at noontime.
Saturday noon, taking advantage of those reduced commissions.
Is maybe tomorrow or tomorrow night. I don't know. I am on tomorrow for 15 minutes from 10:30 to 10:45, and then I'm on Sunday. Yeah. And what's your plan?
I'll be following you on Sunday. We're going to go on 11:30 Eastern time. We're going to doing what we're called opening the vault. We're going to pull out some stuff that we haven't run in a while and see if it catches anyone's interest.
Cool. And it's also Super Bowl Sunday. Go Pats.
Yep.
All right. So
Seahawks are probably going to mash.
If you're on Whatnot, watch out for Mr. Beast. He's going to suck up everything.
Yeah, I don't even know what that's all about, but whatever. So the bandwidth will be very limited for the afternoon on Sunday. So good luck, guys. And you guys all have a great night, and we will see you next time.
All right, take care. Thanks again, chat.
Take care.
Great show by you guys.
Bye.